Hello.
Hello.
Time to engage with the audience, they said. 2 minutes until this next round, allegedly. We do have, I don't know if it's fan least favorite or fan favorite, but Evan Bridges has switched from Lexi because it's not allowed to be played, so it was switched for him, to Teklovossen Esteemed Magnate.
Evan's out here to prove that he doesn't need a broken hero to be able to play this game well.
Right.
I saw him jumping for joy and glee at possibly making top 8 on his first serious tournament on Teklovossen.
Nice. Well, is this a serious tournament? Yes, there's 60 people. How is Evan one of the best 8 on Teklovossen? He's going to try and show you against somebody we've already seen on stream, Zayne on Azalea.
Which is a difficult matchup, honestly, for the Azalea player because, generally speaking, Azalea can't go wide, put together super massive turns against a deck that is really good at blocking tall. So Zayne's going to have to pull out all the stops and find those Bolton shots to really make it happen, slip that damage through.
Right.
Otherwise, Evan becomes
the Mecropotent,
the supreme evil, the Mecropotent Teklovossen,
right.
And just kind of dashes his way in.
To be more than human. I don't know how he does it, but
yeah, that's how he does it, I think.
What's cool is if you're in a meta that doesn't have this hero, maybe you've only been playing against it on Talishar. Maybe you're killing the Teklovossen because you're ninja before they get to the Mecropotent. It's really cool to see how big the stack of cards is. That's something I would pay attention to if I was you, of how many times are we doing Evos?
Many is what Evan's hoping, and he's hoping to get them out really, really fast. The faster he gets all those Evos out, the faster he gets to just start oppressing Zayne on Azalea.
And what's interesting, I've never seen the Teklovossen breathe thing. His machines also breathe with him.
That's impressive. That just shows how strong his connection is to his 1s and 0s, I think.
True.
Very impressive indeed. Yeah. Speaking of binary, here comes Evan Bridges shuffling his deck as though he were a drone.
Nice.
Looking great.
Speaking of drones, Drone of Brutality is banned for this tournament.
Wow, nice connection.
Speaking of brutality, so are the brutes.
We got two Reinars that
are they in yet?
I don't know how to break this to you, Blake.
They're in top 28. So if you're wondering what a Teklovossen deck list looks like, 2 Evo Sentry bases for each the arms, chest, head, and legs. And then Evo Steel, Evan has 3 of each one of those as well. So that's 5 possible bases for each the head, legs, arm, and chest.
Yeah, and those are going to come in clutch against the dominations of the arrows by Azalea. Dominate is not such a threatening mechanic when you have an entire suite of armor that keeps refreshing itself, right?
Sweeter and sweeter.
Sweeter and sweeter, my friend. It does. We were talking about Zayne's ability to go wide before the match started. It does look like we have his deck list in front of us, and it does look like he's running the Rainbow Bolton shots, which are probably the best card to do just that. Go wide, sneak in more damage little by little. It's going to be really interesting to see how he navigates this. It's definitely Evan's match to lose, I think.
Evan on turn 0 just uses hero power over and over again to filter. If you're wondering about defense reactions from Evan, there's sinks, and that's it. Everything else will come from equipment.
Which, of course, yeah, and you can kind of use those equipment, especially because you can activate them at instant, or equip them at instant speed. You can kind of use them as pseudo defense reacts, right?
True. But it's very real.
It's incredibly real.
Yeah.
It's sweet and it's real. It's the sweet life of Zach and Cody.
And this...
Sorry, I broke you.
Sweet.
I'm sorry, I broke you.
I was like, yeah, I've heard of that stuff. Drill Shot is very interesting because it doesn't do anything to his current equipment. I also like the idea of getting Dead-Eyed. Isn't as crazy because we could just pitch to hero power instead.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Perhaps you're saying pitch the Dead-Eye instead of play the Dead-Eye?
I meant more like if Dead-Eye was active, I guess it wasn't even active. So
it wasn't, no.
It was like Evan can just, I'm going to use my hero power and pitch away so I can keep my cards.
Yeah.
Like stuff that like Red in the Ledger, Deadeye, all that kind of stuff is kind of worse against Teklovossen because he can use his hero power to get around it. He can do other things. And there you already see our first
Evo.
But on top, Evo Steel Soul Memory. So anytime he puts another head on, he will be grabbing a 5th card, which if Azalea is not dominating, that 5th card will just be a block and make it even harder to get damage across.
Yeah, absolutely. And Evan having this first piece of equipment already makes it so Dominate is not nearly as scary as it once was. Each of these blue Evos have 3 temper on them, which, if you're doing your math, that is an extra 6 block value.
Jeez.
If you go ahead and let it die. Evan's probably not going to. He's probably only going to get 5 block value out of this before he changes it into another Evo or becomes the Evo So Steel Magnate himself.
Right. The Macropotent.
Macropotent. Coming in with a Seek and Destroy, and then an Azalea activation, finding a Bolt and Shot, which is not a bad find here at all. It's going to allow Zayne to go wide because Bolt and Shot has power greater than its base, giving it go again and reload.
Evan plays this deck extremely fast, too. So if you haven't seen this stuff, it's going to be like, what the hell is going on? But that's an easy 7 block. But there's stuff like Fabricate, which can make his blocks for his Evo Steel Soul be 4-3-2 instead of 3-2-1. And then they stick around. Evan, when you're playing against him with this, I think, I'm not going to pretend like, oh, he's playing the piano. I've said that stuff in the back. But, like, he plays it so fast and quickly that you're like, wait, what's going on? And it's always like, why am I not doing as much damage as I thought? So evasion's super important against this.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking to Evan playing very fast, sometimes when you're at the armory level and he's playing a little bit sloppy, he'll like just throw his cards down, realize he made a mistake, pick them back up, throw them back down,
Right.
and you're like, just tell me how much you're blocking, please.
Right.
Evan being the person that we love to hate and love to love.
No. He's a great person. We're rooting for him today, sure.
There's no way you're rooting for him. There's no way you're rooting for him.
It's just, now we're going to put our headpiece on. Now we're going to draw 5 cards because of Evo Steel Soul Memories thing. Zayne saying, I heard about this in a spoiler card once, but I've never seen this played against me. Let me read it for myself and make sure my opponent's doing the right thing.
Zayne's probably thinking to himself, I can't believe I am facing a Teklovossen in round 6 of this tournament. Are you kidding me right now?
And the flip to see the death whistle is very interesting. Because what would you knock against Teklovossen? What is the best arrow for this?
It's not Azalea's namesake arrow, which is Red in the Ledger, right? Teklovossen really doesn't care much about doing more than 1 action per turn, especially because if you leave a ton of cards in his hand, he can just activate his hero power, equip 2 Evos, and pass back to you, right? Like, Evan at 35 life total means he doesn't care at all about Red in the Ledger. He'll just take the damage and move on. This is a much better choice that Zayne is making, which is Infecting Shot. You just need to leak damage as efficiently as possible. Furthermore, it gets an Infecting Shot into your graveyard so that it can be targeted by a Codex of Frailty later.
I am expecting every single Codex to grab this exact same arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's nothing that could, like, other heroes can banish this arrow. It's pretty hard to banish 3 of them. But, like, Teklovossen getting hit by this arrow over and over again is definitely, like, that's Zayne's best option, kind of.
Absolutely.
Which is what we just asked. But that's what he's doing. He's putting the top card into his arsenal face up using the hero power. This will now have Dominate.
And maybe Dominate can get through that Evo base head. Evan probably wishing he had 1 or 2 more Evos equipped at this point. He did get his block value out of the first block of the Evo Soul Steel Memory, I think, though, right?
True.
So, Value Town, Population Evan.
And this is cool because the Dominated arrow will have a possible 4 damage of disease on top. And Teklovossen, he doesn't have AB, and he's not disease-proof, even though he's still a machine.
Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it?
That'd be kind of cool if Blood Rot Pox was... You can't have Blood Rot Pox if you're half robot.
If you're the Macropotent.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. It would be much
frail.
cooler if he had some way to shore up his rough matchup in Kano, right?
We have 9, and we're hero powering to put our legs on. So now we can block with head, legs, and is a card from hand enough, or is that just 8 with... Because it's both a red red legs and red head.
Yeah, whatever it
Oh,
is.
Evo's Sentry Base.
Whatever it is, he's wishing that he could block with shoulders, knees, and toes as well. That's 4, 8.
8 is not enough.
No, indeed. It's going to leak 1, which means 2 Blood Rot Poxes. And even though he is part machine, he can be infected by them.
I think he's saving 2 blues, though, of I won't be able to block this on the initial arrow, but I'm down to pitch 6 to keep my life currently because neither of these are Evos that I want to equip.
Yeah, quite possibly. Evan just wants to keep his life total high.
Just kidding. It's a head.
Oh, he's going to equip.
And what you're saying is, why is he putting? Why is he taking 4 damage to put a head on top of a head that doesn't have the bonus on it? Those are just extra cards later for his Necropotent to swing more. And I do think if Zayne is not, if the Necropotent, if he does it before if he has more than 12 health when he Necropotentizes, I think Zayne's kind of screwed.
Yeah, and tell me why. Is Zayne not going to be able to get that damage through, or is Evan just going to put too much pressure on?
The turn where he turns into Singularity, that's going to be a 12 damage turn where he discards a card from his opponent's hand, maybe twice. And that's going to be, okay, you maybe swing 1 arrow at me. For 4, I block with my body, and then I take over.
Sounds disgusting.
Which, that's why it's an in-game thing and not something available from the beginning.
They certainly make it hard to accomplish, and Evan is the guy to do it, right? He switches from the most powerful hero that the game has seen for a while into the memeiest hero of the game, and he's very determined to make this deck work. He's been grinding so hard for so long on it.
Good for him.
Is it, though?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. But he was your victim at the last Armory, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I didn't play him.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't.
No. He said he would have beat me, but can't beat me if you're in losers, whenever.
Got him.
Whenever you're on your godlike Arachne run. This is an Enlightened Strike for 7. This could also get some damage across of maybe there's a good card in Evan's hand he wants to equip instead and then just take 7.
He's going go again because he's thinking that he is going to leak some damage in here and get the Ponder token from Premeditate, as we see here. So then, with that last floating, sends Remorseless, just more damage. This is one of those really nice wide turns that Zayne needs to string together in order to chip away at this Teklovossen. Put the pressure on him so he can't equip Evos, can't become the Necropotent.
And he just took 5. So I'm assuming this is either a chest or an arm, because if not, I don't understand what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a scrap trader.
And he takes 1 from the remorseless hitting on the previous turn.
This makes a little more sense because we're gonna use the evils that we blocked before, scrap trading them to our banish zone, and now they're able to be equipped. And each one I scrap gets me 2 resources. It doesn't have an action point, so it's basically used to turn on your hero power and grab something. Once again, we haven't seen a chest or an arm, so he's just going to draw 5 cards from Evo Steel Soul Memory, which is pretty nice.
That is very nice. It is interesting that he doesn't target the, I believe that's an Evo Soul Steel controller in the Banish Zone, just to get more of an equipment suite online. I wonder if he's just not worried about the dominates.
He hero power every turn, even his opponent's turn, so maybe that's I'll just do it next turn.
Yeah, maybe.
Because if I get the 5th card, now it's easier to draw blues and do that on my opponents.
Here comes Zayne starting off with another Premeditate, one of those really, really strong cards premiered in Outsiders. Going to load up a Fatigue Shot and draw a card.
Ooh, that's good because now you can't hero power. Just kidding. Fatigue Shot's the other thing. Fatigue Shot means nothing in this. I do think Zayne, hopefully Zayne put almost his whole deck in there instead of sideboarding at all because we need to shoot as many arrows as possible. This is 3, 6, 9 plus that.
Plus 5 is a nasty 14. No Dominate, though. Threatening a lot of tokens on the trigger, a Frailty, an Inertia, and a Ponder. Makes me wonder what the last card in Zayne's hand is. It may be a Rain Razors, because if he's expecting to get that Ponder token, he doesn't need to save a card for Arsenal, right? He'll just get to reset it as long as this attack connects.
This is a pivotal turn. This is a turn where if you misplay it or get blown out by something, you go from being the overdog to
The middle dog?
the underdog.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's no middle dogs here.
Well, we'll see about that. I guess this is a good situation for Evan to be facing down with 5 cards, right?
Yep, there's 3. Here's equipment.
Yep.
While I
That's
do this,
9, 12.
still
Did he
taking
take
2.
the 2?
1. He clicked something. Let's see. No, he's grabbing dice.
Okay, so it's not a Rain Razors in Zayne's hand because he would have played it. He gets to ponder and reset that arsenal.
Scratched his wrists. His wrist was itchy. That could have affected his decision a little bit.
It is kind of like Evan got a ton of tokens there, but they're nothing he hasn't planned for, right?
Right.
Oh, I guess he's losing his arsenal card. I would have thought he had a plan for that.
But he's like, I need a chest. Anytime he's putting a chest on, it's basically, here's 3 more health over 2 turns.
Yeah.
I think anytime you've been impressed by equipment from Uzuri or Arachne, this is kind of getting impressed on that by like 3 times as much of like, oh, I can have equipment that comes back and blocks for more and all these breakpoints go away. It's like, how about you do that with a +2 and now a +1 afterwards instead of like, oh, I got to buy back with silver. It's like everything you like about that, but better. His wrist is really itching though. I wonder if that messes with his mental.
Is that Evan?
Yeah, he keeps scratching his wrist.
I hope my buddy doesn't have psoriasis. That'd be a bummer.
Goodness. Well, as a medical podcast as well on the side.
Okay, we see an Azalea activation to find a lace with inertia. Probably means that Zayne's got a really juicy arrow in hand.
Cool.
He's going to load it, probably try to find another buff. Ooh, but it's a Bolton shot, so maybe he just pushes for the reload trigger here.
Bolton shots are always good.
Evan, no stranger to this card, right? He's played it so many times. He knows the implications of what that card threatens.
7. The
7.
implication.
The implication of
7.
7 and more.
Oh!
Right? So he's definitely going to want to block this one out because it forces Zayne to use Bullseye Bracers if he
Here's
wants to.
the Rain Razors.
Oh, and he finds
That's
it.
where you get crapped on.
Evan's, that face he's making right now is, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like?
Yeah. He's literally scratching his wrist every other second. I'm so nervous about that. Don't have any reactions in
Oh
your
my
hand.
gosh.
Here comes Battering Bolt. It's got Rain Razors. This is the biggest arrow in my deck.
Battering Bolt is
+2.
usually such a hard arrow to pull off because that 2 cost, usually with the addition of 1 to load with your bow, is really difficult for Rangers to put together. Even Lexi, who ran way more blues than Azalea, right? So the fact that he's getting the... Oh my gosh. Did he take it?
No, he's blocking with all this.
Oh, he's blocking with all that. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was revealing his hand for the Battering Bolt trigger. I was like, why are you taking this?
Next time.
Nice block, Evan. Really well
Great
done.
job.
I'm so proud of you.
So it could look like, what are we doing? We're watching a blowout, but hopefully he doesn't draw all of his hands at the same time. He just needs to find a hand.
He's got one in the Banish Zone already. So pretty much any time he wants to, he can play it from the Banish Zone with Teklovossen's text box, right?
But if you were watching earlier, Zayne did Ravenous Rabble into Bolton Shot into Command and Conquer. We know that. Our friend Evan hasn't watched the stream yet. So if Evan puts Singularity in his arsenal, hoping that I can play this card, if he is too low in health and has to block certain things, and Singularity gets sniped by the Command and Conquer, this goes from an auto win for Evan to an oh crap. I think we're just... I don't want to say it's an auto win for Evan and then he loses by 40 and everyone's like, what happened? Like, this is what's happening in the actual mindset of this game. In between every scratch of the wrist, this is what we're thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Besides, where is my Lubriderm, right?
Yeah, I know. The blood rot pox got on my hand.
So this is interesting. Zayne throws out Ravenous Rabble, reveals a Ravenous Rabble on top. Probably going to see an Azalea activation here. He just wants to go wide. He just wants to keep stripping those cards out of Evan's hand and chipping damage. Evan's getting really low at this point.
Right.
Zayne has done an amazing job of putting together really wide turns and not relying solely on the Azalea dominate ability.
Which I think is a great testament to that deck of if you want to shoot an arrow for 16, you can. If you want to go 4-4-5, you can. So whatever your opponent's presenting, you can do the opposite and still have a chance to win here.
Exactly. So here we come. Read the glide path into Remorseless. Is he going to forget to opt, I wonder? I guess he just doesn't care because it doesn't.
Draw that card anyway, probably.
Interesting.
Dang.
That could have been his opportunity for snaps into Bullseye Bracers, especially because Evan was left no-handed. But Zayne's probably looking for a more juicy opportunity than what he had in hand.
There's a couple no hands for Evan right now of no cards in hand and no Evo hand.
And he's still taking damage.
We gotta hand it to Zayne. He's doing the best he can right now. There's the command and conquer. So Evan's not gonna be surprised when that happens later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it has to come first, or you use it for a dominate. We're gonna use it for a dominate. What's on top?
We find a buff. That's our Seek and Destroy. Buff
Nice.
our next arrow by 3. And that's okay to see a lot of the times when you use Azalea's ability, right? Because it enables you to use Death Dealer. A lot of the time when you flip an arrow, you don't have a source of go again because you've used your Snapdragon Scalers or whatever. You didn't find a Bolt and Shot, etc. Being able to activate Death Dealer every turn is sometimes what makes this deck so good.
Buff number 2.
Yikes, so this is going to be coming in for a Big Bad 11.
Good idea to bottom the Season C, because he can use it against the Macropotent.
At this point, do you think Evan's wondering like how many more threats are in Zayne's deck? Because we've seen a lot of them, right? This is our third Premeditate. I believe this is our third Seek and Destroy, second or third. Is he just hoping he can outlast whatever Zayne's throwing at him?
I think Evan's going to go, oh man, I went so many turns without my arms. Like, what the heck?
He might be doing that.
Because this strategy only really works if you have all 4 pieces of your body blocking the whole game. Like, you wouldn't play Reinhardt without Blood Rush Bellow. You wouldn't play Azalea without Red in the Ledger. So not having an arm equipment block this whole time is pretty bad.
Yeah, and it's getting worse because Azalea just played one of the greatest Ranger cards ever printed, possibly the best. And Ranger and Assassin cards, I guess I should say. Codex of
And
Frailty.
like Evan's gonna lose 40-0 because of this stuff. Because he's gonna have to discard a card from hand. 2 damage is gonna go through unless he has enough block with his equipment. Because this is for 5 or is it more?
This should be for 5. He takes 2,
5.
gets the Blood Rot. Yikes,
Yeah,
this
he's
is hurting.
He's gonna die out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere. We watched it all happen, but
His only hope is for this one of those bricky Azalea hands where you have all... Azalea kind of falls to prey the same issue that Runeblade sometimes has, right? I have all my non-attacks or all my buffs or all of my attacks.
I mean, Del Taco just looked at the health thing, laughed, and literally was like, "What the heck, Evan? Is he gonna go to 2 or is he at? Was it 6-4 or 4-2?
I think he was at 6 and just
Jeez.
took the 2. Evan's really quick on those life totals.
Yeah, maybe he should really quickly get some arms.
And Zayne reveals the second Lace with Blood Rot we've seen, I believe, which is not what Evan wants to be seeing.
I have to drive home in a car with Evan later.
Oh no, you're going to be hearing about this game all the way home.
At least 10 minutes.
More than that, for sure.
And I'll talk about it for 10. I'll go.
Poor Evan.
What is this? Is this a 5-5 matchup? Is this a 6-4? Is this a 7-3? Is this an 8-2?
I'm not sure even what you're saying anymore.
So 5-5 matchup means it's 50-50. But
I see what you're saying.
back in the day, the 9-1 matchup is like, it's all Street Fighter terms that I'm used to for years.
Understood.
Where it's like, Zangief can't beat Dhalsim because
Well, obviously.
there's no way Zangief can get in because Dhalsim. Oh! We're pitching Ivaphidia. It's over for you, Evan. We're going to dominate whatever we want. Or you could do it like Gooch in the chat and say this is a 40-0 matchup.
Okay.
How much health you have afterwards.
Oh, he's saying ain't no way that Evan should be losing 40-0.
True. There ain't no way, but we saw it happen.
Well, not yet.
School's been
Not
put it
yet.
online forever, too. So if Evan ever is like, this deck is good, we go,
Just play this back to him. Oh, that's so mean. Another Seek and Destroy. I was wrong. So now it's our third Seek and Destroy. Here comes a blue Bolt and Shot, I believe, or yellow.
Now here's the Fabricate. This is
Yeah,
what
yellow.
he's been missing the whole game, because Fabricate makes everything better in the equipment suite. Of add 1 block to everything, banish a card, banish an Evo, and draw a card. So it's really nice to like, I'm going to use my hero power, do a hand thing. The hand is finally there. Everything over there has more equipment. Even if this is a dominated arrow for 9, I don't think it's dominated. We're going to be able to block this out and maybe survive a 4 damage arrow. If there's anything more than 4, this could be toast.
And really, Evan wanted to see this earlier to stuff
10
this Bolt
minutes
and Shot
ago,
trigger.
yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to see this to stuff this Bolt and Shot trigger, but Zayne being really smart about his resources, and if he really needs to put some pressure on Evan this next turn, if he smells blood in the water with that 1 card left in hand, activate the Bullseye Bracers, load an arrow. It can be a 1-cost arrow, and then send it with what he's got floating. The downside to that, of course, is that by activating Bullseye Bracers, you close the chain, let Evan do all of that again with his equipment.
And a buff resets those. So let's go touch all our dice.
It's going to have to be a Bullseye activation now because he has no other way to load.
And then what's crazy about this Fabricate is it's going to work for both of these. That's what you just said.
Yeah.
And like that's Fabricate goes from being an instant to basically blocking like 5 or 6 damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've blocked 3.
You got this, Evan. Survive.
Survive for what, though?
Zayne's
Die
like,
the
I've
next turn?
literally never seen this happen. Let's count it up 1 by 1. Does Fabricate work the whole turn? Okay, maybe it does. How did you just block 8? He did block 8. What a gargantuan block for Evan. That's, yay! Like, that's a moral victory at least right there. You're hella dead if you're any other hero.
Notice he didn't scratch his wrist when he had the Fabricate. I wonder if
It's
that's
a
his tell.
nervous tick.
Yeah. Well, it's his tell, right?
So if you're ever playing against Evan at Pro Tour LA in about 10 minutes or 10 weeks, if he scratches his wrist, go ahead and straight aggro him.
I can't.
This is information the world needs to know.
So Evan had to use a lot of resources to block out there. He just drew up 4 cards, passed back to Zayne. The cool thing about that is this is the first time in a very long time that he's had Zayne off of his arsenal at the beginning of his turn, which means no Skullbone Crosswrap, no fixing the top of the deck, and much fewer options for Zayne moving forward. Much lower cap on the amount that he can dish out.
Right. And if you're asking, is this a fully flinged out Teklovossen deck? It is fully blinged out. But let's focus on Azalea right now, guys, okay?
Okay.
Don't think about this fully blinged out. I don't know if he has the cold foil hero. Oh! It's over.
Speaking of bling, though, speaking of bling, that Codex of Frailty is a marvel.
He needs to start playing down and dirty if he's going to get... He needs down and dirty to be a one-of so he can use this to block.
Yeah, I
every
was
time
thinking
he
that
gets
earlier,
Codex.
too, yeah.
We're going to have to tell him that.
You can tell them on their way home. If only you had down and
Yeah.
dirty.
If only you had down and dirty, you would have lost by
If only, Evan,
38 instead of 40.
if only you were downer and dirtier, Evan.
Mm. I do love that Zayne is reading this card, even though Evan will never attack in this.
Wow, I am
Shoot the arrows.
I am feeling like I have egg on my face.
Shoot the arrows.
I was definitely thinking
In
Evan had a
him.
better shot into this.
Yeah, I
he seemed
heard-
really confident. I spoke with him before this match, and he was like, "Please, just let me see the Azalea or the Bravo. Please, let me dodge the Kano." And
If this is your good match, I'd hate to see your bad matchup.
okay, Ravenous Rabble revealing a red. Evan blocks 3, takes 1.
Sheesh.
We have a Death Dealer activation still. Oh, how was he able to use Skullbone? He didn't have a card in arsenal at the top of the... I didn't think.
Maybe
He started with the Codex. That's what he did. He started with the Codex.
Codex.
That's it,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
And we see, yet again, Infecting Shot.
I think
big
one
ouchie.
thing, if you haven't played against Teklovossen in real life, I saw the word goldfishing in chat. This does feel like Teklovossen gives you enough room. He's blocking with Singularity. The game is over, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no, that's devastating.
No way he's able to win. This is going to be a 40-0 shellac of fan favorite Evan Bridges. More like Evan. What's the opposite of Bridges?
Valleys? I don't know. You caught me off guard with that one.
Evan burned Bridges.
There is a world here where Zayne runs out of go tall threats, right? He's run through a lot of his really good cards, a lot of his pumps. If Evan now has 4 Evos online, if he can start throwing all of the protocols and mechanical strength and the other one at Zayne, there's a world where he starts chipping away a lot of damage. It's a small world, after all, but
he needs to draw
it's there.
4 buffs.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened. The goldfishing earlier, like, Teklovossen gives you enough room where you can do stuff with your deck you never thought possible.
Yeah.
That's some stuff where, like, I've never tear limb from limb an Alpha Rampage until I was playing Teklovossen. Of, like, you're not going to do anything to me? No disruption? You're going to completely block? Like, I guess I'll arsenal a card for next time, and now I have a 4-card hand with some extra stuff. Like, let me try and go for something really cool. And I feel like that's what Zayne's just been doing for 20 minutes now.
Yeah, absolutely. It affords decks like Azalea to play solitaire, which is goldfishing. That's exactly what you just said.
And maybe the Azalea's Teklovossen or Evan's been playing online are just not as strong as Zayne. Maybe it's Zayne, too.
He is 4-1 at AGE1, which is a 60-person tournament. And his only loss is his absolute lose matchup, Kano, right?
Oh.
So there's something to be said about...
Then say it.
Yeah,
Just kidding. There's something to be said. Evan's blowing it. Yeah.
Here comes Bolton shot.
Okay.
For 10. Threatening
If it's
reload
dominated,
on
this is done.
It must be because he
no.
activated Azalea. He's got it on top there.
Hero power time.
Here we go.
Oh, he drops it on the ground. It's going to be a movable when it comes back
Did he
up.
fabricate again, or has that been sitting out? Okay, he fabricated again.
Yeah, Teklo is good, just not versus Azalea. I feel like you could replace Azalea with at least 10 other heroes, too, but it's neither here or there. Okay, that's the card where you put a card 5 from the top, so it's on top after you draw 4. A very interesting mechanic that was made.
Yeah, why do you think that was
That way you
designated
know
that
you
way?
can boost next time, just in case.
Understood?
Maybe.
In a deck that runs absolutely no boost whatsoever.
Yeah. Or scrap.
Double fabricate,
We're fabricating.
which is probably going to buff the equipment again. I would have to imagine that is going to lead to a lot of overblock on this.
I mean, he has to block
10
10
attack.
dominated, so some of these things are going to explode afterwards, I think, and he's going to go from definitely losing to holy, he's definitely losing.
Which, at least he's already blocked with Singularity, right? So he's
Yeah.
not missing out on his macropotency.
Evan Bridges gets 40-0 on national TV. Damn.
You know, we
or Zayne beats someone 40-0.
we love to hate him, but do we feel a little bad or not
You
at
know
all?
what? I feel good for Zayne. I feel bad for Evan. It happens to us all. It literally has never happened to me, but
What, 40-0?
40-0. I've only lost 57-0. I've never lost 40.
Now that's impressive.
So, Zayne's gonna make top 8 because a 5 gets you in. Evan will have to hope a 4-2 works with some of the worst tiebreakers ever. Evan's probably gonna go down to, where do we go here? We go prizing. Evan's probably gonna be around the 9th or 12th range, maybe even the 13th or 16th, which points between 8 and 12 is a lot.
Yeah, and there's no cash pricing down in there, but there are a lot of those fabled AGE points,
Yes.
which contribute to your chance at going to the Players' Championship at the end of the season.
True. See, we're not smiling. We feel bad for Evan.
Yeah. We feel terrible for Evan.
Evan needed arms. I do think if you get some arms and turn, like, the opposite happens. Evan went first. There's no Evos in the opening hand. Immediate, oh, crap. That's not great. I don't think he put a defense reaction in Arsenal either. That's not great. the arms don't show up in till turn 13 or 11 or whatever that is when you go. That's not great. Dominate arrow, infecting shot arrow, infecting shot. That's not great. So probably one of the lowest rolls if you want to do that. Probably one of those like, oh, dang, what a bad beat. That thing too. But if you draw some hands, if you get 2 evos in your opening thing, that's what maybe this is a hero that is 3 cards away and one of the cards comes next week and the other 2 cards come in June. And then when I do I started with 2 evos opening and now you're toe. Like, I just don't think we're in a meta where you can play a hero that needs help. Because
Yes.
everyone's getting so good at the game. Everyone's getting so good at the hero that they play regularly that you can't. What are we going to ask Zayne about in an interview? What was it like playing against a freaking testing dummy for an hour? Jeez Louise. I can't wait to talk to Zayne about that. He's 60 cards away, according to Nathan Crawford. I would even bump it up to 62. It's just something of like, scrap. Okay, well, make the scrap cards better. Boost. Oh, he doesn't use those. Evos. Well, they're too expensive. Singularity. Well, if Singularity had something where it's like you can play this from your banish zone, why does that not have that? We can boost. We can boost this by accident. We're gonna interview Zayne.
And see how it felt.
Zayne. Zayne, what is your tag? Zayne, Zen? What is that? What's that from?
That's from high school. Those were just different names I'd gotten on like Starbucks cups and stuff. Of
Nice.
people spelling my name wrong.
Living in the past.
Living in the past, you know,
yeah.
it's been there a while.
Speaking of the present, you're the top A!
Azalea, pretty good.
Sheesh. Especially when you face
Evan,
a training dummy for 40 minutes.
free.
What? Okay, so in your mind, you're like, this is not a good matchup for me because why?
Because my Dominate's irrelevant because he has 6,000 armor. And I'd played the matchup as Bravo, and it was miserable.
Right.
Because they just can block everything that you're doing with any relevance. But I was like, you know, if I just play on rate or above rate stuff, maybe it goes well. And then it went pretty well.
He did 0 damage to you.
He did 0 damage.
You did 40 to him.
Mm-hmm.
How's that happened to you in a professional setting tournament?
No, but I have done it before.
Okay.
I did it in the Prism Mirror.
Nice. 40 0'd somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So this is your second 40 0.
Yep.
When that happens to you, is that something where you're like, oh, okay, I can get in the groove? Or is it like going into a top 8, you're going to be like, I haven't really played a game in 2 hours?
You know, that's a good question. We're going to find out. We're going to find out next round. You know, I think it still was testing, though. I still had to play, like, I mean, I got to play 5-card hands every hand.
Right.
But you still have to optimize them. In Azaleas, that's kind of hard. Like, I don't play a ton of Azalea. So it's a good little mental test. Beating dummy.
So to practice against, if somebody picks up Teklovossen in your local meta, you should go to Felt Table and just pick a random Bravo or something and just play against that. And
The legend of the, what is it, the car from the first calling where you had to, like, deal 100 damage to the car.
Yes.
That was Evan.
I've heard of that legend.
Mhm.
Azalea today.
Yeah.
Gonna be on her for a while, for a bit. Gonna
Yeah.
see some heavy hitters,
I mean-
or Azalea forever.
Today going well is pretty good for the Azalea case. I have been itching to play Rhinar, as you know.
Oh, I remember. This is Zayne.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You're the one who said, I wonder what we get
Uh-huh.
in heavy hitters. Speaking as a Brute player,
Uh-huh.
when was the last time you weed for Brute?
I played the 9 Pummel Levia list back in the day with 3 Blood Debt, just the 3 red.
Okay,
Slaughter Beast.
I've heard of that.
It was like the end of Briar's lifetime. So
Oh,
not that long.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you like the new Wrecker Romp print, or is that like,
It's okay. It doesn't look like Wrecker Romp to me.
no?
It, like, if that was a Brute card, I'm perfectly happy with it. But I don't think I can take out the EA Wrecker Romp.
No, it's a Brute punching an animal.
It's like,
That's one of the coolest arts we got.
it's true.
Uh.
Barraging Beatdown is my favorite Brute card. And that's literally what it is. They punched a lion or whatever.
There's literally punch prints on it.
Oh.
Azalea, March 24th.
We're talking PTLA.
We're talking PTLA.
Mm.
what is going to be a mindset you go into Pro Tour LA with? Are you going? I know you've gone around the world. This is in your backyard. This is still, you're still traveling. You still don't get to sleep in your own bed before. Some of us get to sleep in our own bed and go to this tournament.
Must be nice.
But you're going to be a little bit close, or maybe you got a hotel. I don't know. Pro Tour LA, it's too close to not win if I'm a person who goes around all the time. Like, is it, I'm not a pro player. I'm not even close to it. I've never been to a Pro Tour. Are the locals that have this in their backyard, this is the one you're going to win?
I hope so.
Put the effort in.
Yeah.
What's that process like for you if that applies to you?
You know, I mean, some Pro Tours I've been more prepared than others. Like for Lille, I was admittedly unprepared. I played Viscerai and hoped for the best. Didn't go so well. So for this one, I think there's a little extra edge of like, we need to be ready for this one. And especially with a limited set that I'm excited about. I do play some Guardian. I like to play Brute. We'll see about Warrior. Kasai seems interesting. I think that this is a set, like a limited set that we can invest in. This CC meta is looking to be really interesting. So I think that we just have to put in a little more effort than we would for other ones because it means a little more that it's here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there somebody in this room that's top 80 in Pro Tour LA? Or is there two of them?
I'll say that someone on the IALI 80 will top 8. We'll see if it's actually
wow.
Chris or if it's someone else. But
when are we gonna get a Zayne 80?
Well, you got my.
Oh, okay, that's it right here.
Uh-huh.
What's the last card you put in here?
I have
like,
Ophidia. I have Ophidia.
It's just too good not to.
It was a melting point, and then I was like, you know, I have Ophidia's fun. I have it. It's my Kano deck was like on my desk. I was like, let's just
put this in and win a tournament with it real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you. Thank you for making sure Evan didn't do the impossible.
I heard that you were really cheering for me.
No. Craig has a question. Blake, ask him if he thinks I could have prevailed where Evan couldn't. I don't know what that means. Has he been playing Teklovossen?
He's saying, do you think, or ask me if he would have beat me, I think. And if the answer, if he was on Bravo, the answer is probably yes, which I know that Craig's a big Bravo enjoyer.
Weird question for Craig. But okay, Craig. Come to the tournaments and prove it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he's happy to not have to play Dromai anymore. I heard
Wait, show this T-shirt to everyone. Because someone said you're your favorite fourth person on here.
Yeah, what's up, Noah? Yeah, you beat me one time in limited. It's okay.
Oh, take that, Noah. That's our tournament. First half. We're gonna go to a different stream. Who are you hoping to see in top 8?
I mean, I've been around Kano all day. I've been like next to Kano like 3 rounds in a row, and I haven't played it yet. And I haven't played that matchup much, so I'm kind of curious to see how it goes. Okay. There's a good chance. I think there's 2 in there, right? 2 Kano.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Don't spoiler. That is our interview with Zayne. Do some hand sign or something. All right, that's top 8. Keep you later. We're gonna see you. Okay, we'll show you about top.